They say every small town has its stories, the kind you only believe because you lived through them. And if you'd told me a scrawny, limping calf would flip my world upside down, I might have laughed. But now, well, now I'd just nod and say, yeah, I remember that day like it just happened. It started on a hot September morning in our dusty little town of Ashford, Montana. I was 12, barefoot by choice, holding onto a crumpled $50 bill like it was the last thread of hope in our frayed lives. It kinda was. That $50 was supposed to pay our electricity bill, the one we were already 3 weeks late on. But I didn't care. Not that day. Our family'd been barely scraping by ever since Dad lost his job at the mill. Mom picked up double shifts at the diner and stocked shelves at the hardware store. But between leaky windows, a busted roof, and winters that bit harder than a barn cat, things were bad. Real bad. But animals? Animals were my escape. I'd always had this strange kind of pull toward creatures that were broken. Birds with busted wings, stray dogs with ribs poking out, kittens nobody wanted. I'd fix them up with scraps, threadbare blankets, and a whole lot of love. And somehow, they always got better. Mom used to say I had magic hands. So when Emma, my best friend since kindergarten, told me the livestock auction was unloading sick or injured animals real cheap, something inside me lit up. I didn't tell my folks where I was going that morning. Just said I was walking to the library. I guess that wasn't entirely a lie because what I found that day taught me more than any book ever could. The auction yard smelled like manure and disappointment. Big ranchers strutted around in shiny boots, dropping hundreds, sometimes thousand-son-strong calves, sleek horses, and sturdy sheep. Nobody looked at me twice. I was just some skinny kid in hand-me-down jeans and a faded sweatshirt that used to belong to my brother. But then I saw him. Way back in a corner, where the dust was thick and the crowd thin, stood the smallest bull calf I'd ever laid eyes on. His coat was a dull reddish-brown, patchy and matted. His front leg was wrapped in a blood-stained bandage, and he was barely standing. Just this sad, hunched thing with eyes so tired they looked older than mine. A cardboard sign on the pen read, "Injured calf. $50 OBO." I swear, he looked right at me. Not just looked, saw me. There was something in his eyes. Like he was holding on, just barely, but hadn't given up. Not yet. A man with a cigarette hanging from his lip noticed me staring. "You ain't really thinking of buying that runt, are ya?" he asked. His name was Joe, and he worked the pens. "Kid, he's not gonna make it the week. Busted his leg loading in infected now. Best thing would be to put him down." But I didn't budge. "What's his name?" I asked. Joe chuckled. "Name? He ain't got no name. He's a waste of space." "Well, that settled it. His name's Rusty," I said, like it had always been true. He shook his head. "You really want to drop $50 on a dead bull walking?" I handed him the crumpled bill before I could talk myself out of it. Old Tom, our neighbor, was kind enough to give me and Rusty a ride home in his pickup. He didn't say much, just kept glancing at me in the rear view like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. When we pulled into our yard, Mom was hanging laundry. I still remember the way her face changed when she saw that calf in the truck bed. First confusion, then horror. "Lucy Marie Thompson, what is that?" "His name's Rusty," I said, standing my ground. "And he needed help." Dad came out of the barn, wiping his hands with that look he got when something broke again and he didn't have the tools to fix it. "Lucy, please tell me you didn't spend the electricity money on a dying bull." I swallowed. I had to. No one else would help him. Mom was furious. Rightly so. She paced, hand on her forehead, muttering about bills and responsibility. But then she looked into the truck bed. Really looked. And something shifted. Rusty tried to lift his head, let out the softest little groan. I climbed in, cradled his head in my lap. "I won't let him die," I whispered. "I promise." That night, Tom offered up the old shed behind his property. Said it wasn't much, but it was dry. And his brother-in-law Jake, a retired vet, might be able to help. The first few days were brutal. The smell of infection was bad. His leg was hot, swollen, oozing. But Mrs. Patterson, our neighbor, used to be a vet tech. She brought over supplies and taught me how to clean wounds, change bandages, give oral meds. I learned fast. Had to. Every morning before school, and every evening after, I sat with Rusty. He let me talk, ramble, cry when it got too hard. I worked at the feed store to pay for calf formula and grain. Every penny I earned went to him. And somehow, he started getting better. Week 2, he stood. Not long, not strong, but enough. Mrs. Patterson cried. Jake grunted something like approval. I grinned till my cheeks hurt. By month's end, he was following me around like a puppy. I'd whistle, and he'd come limping along. His coat got shinier, eyes brighter. He'd nuzzle my pocket looking for treats, curl up beside me while I read. But that was just the beginning. See, Rusty wasn't just healing, was watching. Learning. One morning, when Emma went missing in the woods behind Tom's place, Rusty lost it. Pacing, groaning, nudging the gate. I opened it. He took off. I followed. 15 minutes later, we found Emma sitting beside a log, crying. Rusty found me, she sobbed. After that, word spread. People started coming by to see the miracle bull. He'd fetch water buckets, nudge kids gently, comfort folks who were grieving. A storm once hit hard, and Rusty wouldn't calm down until we checked the house. Turns out a gas line was leaking under the foundation. Dr. Walsh, a behavioral vet, came to study him. Called him the most emotionally intelligent animal she'd ever met. Said what we had was rare. Maybe once in a lifetime. Soon, reporters showed up. Then the offers. A man from Denver offered $50,000 to buy Rusty for his animal show. My folks were tempted. $50,000 could fix everything. But I stood my ground. He's not for sale, I said. He's family. The hardest part came when universities offered me scholarships for vet school. Full ride. But I'd have to leave Rusty. Dr. Walsh proposed another way. A research partnership with Montana State. We'd turn Tom's shed into a behavioral study center. I could study from home, and Rusty could stay right here. It sounded impossible until it wasn't. Grants came in. Volunteers helped build. By the next spring, the Ashford Human-Animal Bond Center opened its doors. Rusty became the face of it all. I became the youngest research assistant the university had ever had. Now, 2 years later, we've published papers, hosted symposiums, and helped hundreds of kids understand animals better in themselves. And every evening, after the visitors leave, I sit with Rusty under the Montana stars, just like that first night. He lays his head in my lap, lets out that soft rumble like a song only I can hear. I think about that crumpled $50 bill a lot. Best investment I ever made. If you made it this far into the story, tell me, what would you have done? Would you have spent your last $50 on a dying calf no one believed in? Do you think love and loyalty can change the course of a life or save one? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you believe in second chances, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a little hope today. Because sometimes, the smallest hearts carry the biggest miracles.